So a few days ago I published rating on a stock, a speculative buy, real target, full valuation work, and 4 days later news came out that actually changed the math. And instead of just quietly editing my old report, I wanted to walk you through it live because this is honestly what real research looks like and not a call you make once and never touch again. I'm Jonathan, this is the Venture Analyst. So quick recap on what I actually published. Olympia Financial Group, ticker OLY on the TSX, speculative buy, target 120 Canadian, about 16.5% upside, and I call it speculative on purpose. Has real earnings decline, a dividend that just got cut, but a genuine asymmetry underneath. The bear case needed two separate things to go wrong, and the bull case needed one thing that was already the consensus forecast. Interest rates simply holding where they are. So 4 days after that, this dropped. Olympia is reorganizing, terminating its existing management agreement with a company called Tarman and with some of its own senior executives in exchange for cash and shares worth about $49.7 million total. This needs shareholder approval, and it's a real formal restructuring and not a minor housekeeping item. Here's a number that actually matters to you if you own this. Olympia's market cap was around $276 million, issuing $49.7 million in new shares. Against that is roughly 18% dilution, and that's real. Every single number in my original report, the discounted cash flow value, the EV/EBITDA range, the dividend model, all of it gets pulled down by about that much on per share basis, and I'm not going to pretend that's nothing. Okay, so let me actually show you the math instead of just saying 18% and moving on. I had three models in the original report. DCF said 86.53, EV to EBITDA at a base case multiple said 116.96. The dividend discount model said 91.15. Average those three out, you get right around $100, $99, which is basically where the stock traded before any of this news. Now run all three through the same roughly 18% dilution. DCF drops to about 73, EV/EBITDA drops to about 99, dividend model drops to about 80. New average right around 84, and the target I published at 120 on the same adjustment comes down to somewhere around 102. That's the honest math first answer to what this news actually costs you. So then the question is, what is this dilution worth it? And here's how I actually think about that. Ontario is something like 38 to 40% Canada's entire population and GDP. Olympia's whole existing business right now is basically Western Canada. So if this reorganization is genuinely clearing the path for a federal trust license, that's not a small door opening. That's a bigger market than the one they're currently operating. I'm not going to pretend that I can hand you a precise number for what that's actually worth. Nobody credibly could do this early, but even grabbing a modest single-digit share of a market that size over a few years could be worth many multiples of this 18% dilution cost. That's the actual asymmetry I'm weighing here. Small known cost today, potentially a much bigger unknown payoff later. And just to close the loop on the deal mechanics themselves, the shares involved here are locked off for a few years, and the executives actually lose theirs if they quit or get fired for cause. So whatever this reorganization is really about, it's not structured like a quick payday for anyone involved. That's also worth knowing. So here's where I actually land. The rating stays speculative buy. The core thesis, the real asymmetry, hasn't changed, but the target is generally under review because 120 was built before any of this was public, and real dilution needs to be worked into that number properly before I would stand behind it again. Honestly, this is the whole point of doing this work in public. New information shows up, and instead of hiding it or pretending my first call was perfect, I want to show exactly how it changes things. Full updates at the Venture Analyst, links in the bio, free trials running, and I'll see you in the next one.